Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Right now, get a free select tool when you buy the Craftsman V20 2-pack battery kit. Whether it's the backyard, the bathroom, or beyond, Craftsman has the tools to help you power through and get the project done right. Because DIYing is unpredictable, but your tools shouldn't be. Shop Craftsman at Lowe's today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3, the Memorial Day edition of VSiN By The Books. I am Dave Ross here, Circus Sports, Fatness, Las Vegas, Nevada. Our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Great day across the country today. I hope everybody's going to get out there and celebrate and remember the reason for the holiday. Let's bring in one of our favorites here, Will Hill. Can give Will a follow on X at Not The Will Hill. Joins us in the Progressive Guest Line, the host of the Should Have Been More podcast. Will, what's the Memorial Day activities like for you as the king of Connecticut?
Hot dogs, hamburgers, steaks. We got chicken, plenty to grill, plenty of stuff in the fridge. Get that grill going and just watch some baseball. I got a basketball game tonight, so looking forward to it. It's how about this? Yesterday I was hosting with Grace Remington. Is Memorial Day the start of summer? I always thought, like when I was a kid in school, the end of school is the start of summer. But now that we're adults, I guess Memorial Day qualifies, so should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Plenty. I was thinking, 5 years ago during COVID, Memorial Day weekend, remember we had that golf thing to watch when it was Tiger, Brady, Manning, and Nicholson, and that was like the best thing ever just because we had us sporting event. So you do have to take some time to appreciate the fact that we have sports back sometimes. It's hard to believe that's 5 years ago, but great to have a full day of sports.
Tiger Woods was golfing.
Really is.
Yeah, 5 years. It's amazing to think about that, how much time has passed there. Jensen and I were talking a little bit about the awards market during the break a little bit. Do you like to bet those markets? Because I know Jensen and I sometimes have trepidation when it comes to trying to get in the heads of writers and voters of what they see versus what we see.
I do like these. I don't have as much in baseball this year as I usually do. I have very little in terms of the awards, but a couple that jumped out to me. First, I'll start American League Reliever of the Year. These are at FanDuel. FanDuel does a good job of posting these markets. Manager of the Year, Reliever of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. Some of these awards I wasn't even sure existed. But hey, if you can bet on it, if you build it, they will come. I think they're fascinating to look at and good thought exercise, if nothing else. AL Reliever of the Year, Jensen, former closer. Dave, I know in college your nickname was the closer, so let's talk this award. Luke Weaver's 15-1. He's got a .65-ish ERA. I know he entered yesterday with like a .4 ERA, gave up a run, so his ERA skyrocketed to .6 or so. He's 15-1 for the team that might have the best record in the American League at the end of the year. Their projected win total 95.5 on FanDuel. 15-1 for a guy with a .6 ERA that's pitching for the Yankees. Big market, big brand. There's the narrative that, he was a failed starter, so he's a good story. So media likes the good story. Munoz is odds on. He's been outstanding. I understand that. But Mason Miller's like 3-1. Mason Miller, as great as he is, and you know this, Jensen, you follow this stuff, and Dave, you do too. Mason Miller's been awful, surprisingly bad, really surprisingly bad. Durant's 10-1. Okay, he's really good. I think this market is off. I like getting the 15-1 there. And then, Jensen, I think you have a play on this market, which I understand. I have the guy I think you like too before the season. How is Jacob Wilson at -165 or so not going to win this award? He's hitting .350. He's played since opening day. He's got a 2-month head start on these other guys. So, all right, Marcelo Meyer gets called up. Maybe Jack Caglione gets called up here soon. And I don't know what they're waiting for. It seems like every day I go onto Twitter, he hits 2 or 3 home runs and like the longest homers you ever see. I get that. Injuries, long season, a lot can happen. Barring injury, barring disaster, I see it's going to be very difficult for Jacob Wilson not to win this award with the head start he's got on everybody else.
Yeah, and again, the subjectivity of the award is where I tell Dave all the time, like, again, Jack Caglione is going to come in. He's going to be on a team that competes. The Athletics are not going to compete. And because he hits home runs and the way that he hits them, it's going to capture the minds and imaginations of people. I totally agree. Jacob Wilson has been absolutely phenomenal, but I'm anxious to see when that day comes, when Jack Cags puts on that royal blue, what that market ends up looking at. You can get him at 40-1 right now. on FanDuel, as you talked about, for Rookie of the Year. Let me throw at you a couple ideas in the NBA playoffs. And obviously tonight, we get to see if the Thunder will be able to bounce back from the thrashing by the T-Wolves. I went back to the regression part, Will, and anxious your thoughts on from a shooting aspect. I don't think we get 20 of 40 from distance for the Timberwolves again tonight. We might. But I leaned to the under, just kind of looking at, okay, I think everyone kind of comes back to earth a little bit. Does it make sense to see that? Or how do you see this one playing out for the Thunder in a bounce back spot?
Yeah, I didn't bet the total. I had the over in game 3. I don't necessarily like it again in game 4. And it's interesting. You always hear like, oh, 2-2, game 5 is what decides the series. I always like these game 4s when it's 2-1. I think that this is the fork in the road moment because the team that's up 2-1, if they win, it becomes a short series and they're in complete control, and they usually win that series a high percentage of the time. And then if the team down 2-1 wins the series, then you're looking at a long series. So to me, 2-1, game 4, that's where it's at. That's sort of the money game, an underrated game. People always talk about game 5 at 2-2 or game 3 at 1-1. I love these game 4s. It would be Minnesota or nothing for me. I'm going to make a small bet on Minnesota. It's interesting. I had OKC in 6 before the series. I think I talked about it last week with you guys. I thought after a game, especially after 2 games, man, I was too optimistic on Minnesota. Maybe I'll get there here still with the 6. Oklahoma City's road woes are a real thing now. Remember the 2 games in Memphis, they didn't play well. That night of the NFL draft, they're down 30 or 25 or whatever late, had the rally to win as big favorites, didn't cover. Were like a 12, 13-point favorite, maybe even more in game 4 against Memphis. Barely won the game, won by a bucket or so. Then the 3 games in Denver, they didn't cover any of them. They lost 2 of the 3. The one they won was the one they needed. That was the one where they were down 2-1, coincidentally, where they're down 71-63 early fourth quarter. They rally, they win, they even the series, they win the series. But again, 0 for 3 against the spread, 1 and 2 straight up. So, and now the thrashing in Minnesota here. So this is a real thing. They have not covered a road playoff game. So makes sense. A younger team, going to be better at home than on the road. So I would take the 3 here, if anything. I do think Oklahoma City, one way or another, is going to win this series, whether it's 5, 6, maybe it goes to 7. Look, anything can happen in a 7th game. You do not want that scenario for OKC, but I don't think OKC is in any real danger of losing this series. But considering their struggles on the road here, I would take the 3.
We're just seeing more history every time the Knicks fall behind by 20 and come back to win. They've done it 3 times on the road. We've never seen that before in the history of the NBA playoffs. Maybe that's the best strategy. Just fall behind by 20 in the road. They'll come back and win. Do you think the Knicks are live in this series now? Will, you can get about plus $80 out there in the marketplace to still win this series because I didn't see them coming off the deck yesterday. I bet them in the second half, laying the 1.5. I didn't expect them to win the game outright, but here they are. So does that interest you at all that now, because nobody can hold serve at home, this series really is live?
Yeah, it's the old saying is the series doesn't start until a home team loses a game. Well, what if the home team never wins a game? Does the series ever start then? It's a strange series. I guess you could say games 1 and games 3 cancel out because the Knicks obviously should have won game 1 and the Pacers probably should have won game 3. I was starting to think from a Knicks perspective when they were down 2-0 and down 20 in game 3. Reminded me a little bit, I think I mentioned this before game 2. Freddie Freeman hits the walk-off grand slam in game 1 of the World Series, and the Yankees never got off the mat. I was starting to wonder if this was the same thing for the Knicks, where you lose a devastating game and you just never recover. Give him credit. Towns was great. Not my favorite player, but he was great. Tibbs actually used the bench a little bit. Brunson, I think being in foul trouble was a blessing in disguise because they got more guys touching the ball, more ball movement, better defensive lineups. Knicks are absolutely live here. I've lost my feel for the series just because the road team has just been so good, and the road for the Knicks has been outstanding. 6-1 on the road. They haven't been able to take care of business at home. I would only look towards taking the points just because I think these teams are dead even. The one trend I think is really positive for the Knicks that makes me hopeful here as someone who picked them in 7, and I took over 5.5 games, which is now in really good shape. Game 1, the Pacers shot 37 threes. Game 2, the Pacers were down to 30 threes. Game 3, they're down to 25 threes. So 37 to 30 to 25. As long as you're limiting the volume, it's hard to make them. When you don't take them, they're really doing a good job of cutting them off from the three-point line. I thought the easy stuff at the rim was really limited. Force them into mid-range stuff. And finally, Indiana had a bad shooting night where they shot 20% from 3, 25% from 3. They didn't shoot well at all, where they'd been shooting over 40% from 3 in the playoffs. So it'd be Knicks or nothing. Look, talking about home court again is just irrelevant because the home court hasn't mattered. But even if you lose this one, you just take care of business at 5. You got a chance at 6, and then you get a 7th game at home. I think we're headed to 7 still, and it's interesting because Indiana was in the same position last year, down 0-2 and down pretty big in Game 3. I think they were down 8-10 middle of the third quarter. They rallied that. They won in Game 4. They traded punches in 5 and 6. Then they stole the series in 7. And last year, the road team was only 1-6 with the only win going in 7. So it'd be Knicks or nothing. That was awesome last night. That was a lot of fun to watch. It's a little too much with these players calling for reviews every single play of the second half, basically. I thought the refs were definitely shaky in the fourth quarter, so I get it. But Knicks plus 2.5 here is a play for me.
Don't you guys love that when the players just do this? No, review it. You got to review it.
Hey, just wait till you get automatic ball strike coming up, guys, and you see this.
Oh, is that what that's going to be?
Coming from hitters.
My goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Those are quick, though. I was at a minor league game. Those are quick. They tap the helmet, they fix it, and we move on. These guys think you get like 26 challenges in a game. You don't. You get like 1 or 2. And, I mean, they want to challenge everything.
They're saying to review it.
One play.
Yeah, you can't review it. They were out of challenges, and yet they're like, hey, still challenge it.
Exactly. And there was one play, and Van Gundy, who I really like, he was getting annoyed because Siakam fouls, I think, Towns. And he's asking for a review. Saying Van Gundy goes, "You fouled him 3 times. What do you want to review? It's ridiculous."
Very quickly before we let you go, are you going to fade the Giants this year in the NFL? Is that a play?
Under 5.5 wins and 6-1 to have the worst record. That schedule is an absolute nightmare. So to me, 6-1 is a good bet. We were just talking before we came on. Maybe Dable, first coach fired, is a better way to go, but. Those odds aren't up yet, and I don't think you're going to get any more than like 2-1. He's going to be the short shot based on that schedule and based on his tenuous situation there.
Will, enjoy your Memorial Day, my friend. It sounds like you got the fridge stocked to get that grill hopping. So we always appreciate your time on a Monday, and especially in the holiday as well.
Always fun, boys. Thanks for having me. See you.
There he is. Check him out. Should have been more podcasts as well. Give him a follow on X at Not The Will Hill. Very quickly, 14 months. You're going to get 2 extra months free right now. Promo code PRO. That's $199 right now. VSiN.com/subscribe. Those daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, access to the VSiN Watch app, and that NFL betting guide. It's all there for you when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We continue this holiday edition of VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis, great conversation with the King of Connecticut in the last segment. That, of course, is the great Will Hill. Going to catch up with Rachel Doerrie, north of the border, up there in Canada, to talk all things Stanley Cup coming up in the very next segment. But, Jensen, something you and I did, and this is why we do what we do. We broke this out before we got to May, and we looked ahead at some – we didn't know the numbers, and this is what we want to advise people. We're going to do this again on Friday's show because, again, over the weekend when we're off will be the beginning of May. These markets for the most wins in these individual months, those markets are only up for about 24 hours. So we try to get you the jump on it and get ahead of the curve here a little bit, and we do that. And when we did it in May, obviously at the end of April, we did it before we knew what the numbers were going to look like, right? So we talked about right here in the show that some value plays out there for you before knowing the numbers. Potentially could be, say, some longer shots in the Reds. We took a shot in the Reds at, 68.50, somewhere in that market. The Mariners were a longer number, that's for sure. Royals, I got about 24.50. Had a good month, but 13-10, probably not going to get there. Point being is we also handicapped, before knowing the number, the Phillies. We said the Phillies were one of the teams that would certainly be playable when you looked at the schedule. Lo and behold, look who it is right now. Currently, with about, the rest of the week to go, the Phillies are the front runners now to win this at 17-6. Check your books, because, again, if you get to that dead heat with Minnesota a game back, St. Louis a game back, Detroit now after losing 3 of 4. They were in the catbird seat. They're 2 games back. And the Cubs, who, by the way, are not dead when you look at their schedule, and maybe favorable this week with 14 wins. So, Jensen, when we give out Philadelphia, but didn't bet Philadelphia because the number associated, I believe, is plus 1050, I felt like it was a little bit too short at that time. We still should root for the people that listened and watched the program that did take our advice and bet Philadelphia, even though there's no financial gain for you and I.
Oh, of course.
Right.
And again, this is what it's all about, right? These sweats coming down to the final week. Our great associate producer, Danny Higgins, putting together literally every team and schedule as we finish it out here. So again, if you have a Philly ticket, you're feeling good. However, off day today, and then that 3-game series beginning at home against Atlanta, as you talked about. And we know that Atlanta, a far different team than when the Phillies last played them. Minnesota's the intriguing one here. If you still got a ticket on them, they begin a 3-game series in Tampa. And again, the problem with that is we'd love to root for you, but that would go against our Freedom Parlay. So we will let Freedom reign begin tomorrow for you Minnesota Twins most wins in May backers out there. 3 at Tampa, off date. Then they got to go to the Pacific Northwest and take on Seattle. No easy task winning there at T-Mobile Park. I think it's going to be a long shot for my Cubs because I need a lot of things to go right.
But
if you're
playing
sitting
the
there
Rockies,
with a ticket,
yeah,
you're okay. You're okay. The schedule would favor you. The one I would look at is Detroit. Okay, the Giants coming in, playing really well. You may be dead in the water there, especially the way they just played against the Guardians, and then they got to go to Kansas City. Kansas City has played better. Do we just look at St. Louis and say, this is St. Louis's one to lose? I mean, I think they're, again, a tough series to start. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say a tough series to start, but where it looked like this could be a tough one for them, all of a sudden is really playing into their favor because now you get Baltimore for 3, who's been god-awful, and then you go to Texas and potentially seeing what that pitching matchup could be both on the 30th and the 31st. You know what? I would say if you're St. Louis, you're feeling really good about where you're at right now.
You mentioned those, Danny Higgins putting these together and Gil Alexander doing a great job as well, keeping an eye on this because, again, some of those tiebreakers will be run differential. If you get there in some of those, say the Phillies, if they struggle a little bit against the Braves here, obviously they control their own destiny. That's why they're odds on right now, over a $2 betting favor to cash this ticket for the most wins in the month of May. But if it does get into that dead heat scenario here where you're tied with somebody else, right now their run differential, Philadelphia, is plus 36. So they even have that tiebreaker if your book goes to that. The Twins are plus 29. The Cardinals plus 33. So again, if you get in that tie, that's only 3 runs. So that would feel like it's you could make that up. The Cubs right now with their run differential are plus 44. Yankees, by the way, are plus 55. Those are 14-win teams though. So they're 3 back with the week to go here. And again, the Royals, distant long shot for yours truly. Their run differential is plus 13. Angels with a really good month so far with 13 wins this month as well, but they are minus 9. So how about that? 13 and 10 of the month, and yet a negative run differential. And again, the Lakers still winless so far in the month of May. If you're watching at VSiN.com, just like to throw that up. The Lakers still looking for that first win in May. Carolina Hurricanes still looking for their first win in the Eastern Conference Final. Shots fired. So I don't think those Cubs tickets are dead yet. By the way, I know you hopped in on the Cubs, right? Kind of mid-May. I think you're still alive, but obviously no margin for error. You got to sweep Colorado to have any hope of that, right?
I think you got to win all 5, and then I need help from Atlanta. Basically, if you do the math, that puts them at 19-8 for the month, and so Philly would have to lose at least 3, and then the Cardinals would have to lose at least 4.
Ooh.
So I mean, again, depending on the dead heat rules here, if we're selfish, we want to win it outright. We're going to have to shoot the moon here for the Cubs ticket. But, hey, stranger things have happened. And I tell you, Philly, what I really love even more so now, I took a shot on Philly to have the most wins in the regular season, period, at the beginning of the year. So the fact that they have vaulted themselves now and have taken care of business, has put them right back into contention for that record as well. So happy about that ticket. The Rangers, also the other team that I have a most regular season wins on. So a lot still to like here. Just 2 months in. We're just a third of the way through of the regular season, so a lot of baseball left to be played.
The Cubs, by the way, in the adjusted market here for most wins in the month of May, which will wrap up Friday, obviously, is they are 40-1 to cash that ticket. Now, when you look at, they're such a sizable favorite today. Jameson Taillon on the bump against the Rockies. They're over a $3 betting favorite. Normally, Jensen, we'd say, well, if you like the Cubs, and with your theory that, and I agree with it, they've got to win their last 5 to get to 19. And the interesting thing is, when I handicap these markets, and that's why I did like the Phillies this month, was I thought 20 is the number. Like, realistically, people, when you start to do these as the months go for this summer, you got to be looking at a team. Can they win 20 games in a month? That's a lot of wins in 1 month in order to cash those tickets. And I did think the Phillies, obviously, with 17, they're knocking on that door to get to 20. Would you do the rollover on the Cubs? Minus 350 now. It's going up. But because it's the Rockies, I wonder if the rollover price is not as good. Maybe you do take the longer shot at 40-1.
You'd have to take the 40-1.
Right.
If they go below, like a 275 favorite, I'd be shocked. I mean, look at the run line. It's at 2.5.
That's insane.
If you want the 1.5, the standard 1.5 is $1.48. If you want to lay it for the Cubs.
And by the way, again, remember, these are home games for the Cubs. So they're only going to get 8, if things go well for them, only 8 at-bats. So you're not even getting that ninth inning opportunity, and you got to lay 2.5 in the run line? A little bit rich for my blood. Have you already started to look ahead to June a little bit? I've peeked at a couple, and I've already got a couple that I've put in my no-fly zone for certain reasons we'll get at later on in the week. Have you started to peek and turn the corner a little bit?
That will be part of whatever flight I jump on for regional travel. That is on the to-do list once we hit the friendly skies for sure.
So again, everybody, we will give you our June picks, and again, we won't know the numbers necessarily on Friday's show. If they're out, we'll give them to you. If not, they'll come Saturday. But this is why we did this exercise here, and we did lead you down to the Phillies as being one of those 2 teams or 4 teams that we gave out that could potentially win it. And right now they are odds on to do just that. So we'll get you those numbers on Friday, or at least the teams that we think could be there before you see those official numbers. Lines are going to move, that's for sure. Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com, they're already there. They're not going to chase that market. They're going to help move it. So you're not going to outmuscle those billion-dollar sportsbook, full-time professional bettors all by yourself. Sharp Plays, you don't have to do all of that. They're going to be powered by cutting-edge AI, trusted insider sources. The Sharp Play is going to deliver the edge that serious bettors rely on. You're going to get free betting reports, real-time alerts, and market-moving insights all delivered right to you via email and or X. This isn't an overnight startup. They've been around the block here since 2011. They got receipts, public logs, and results all there for you to peruse on the website. That's why they are respected, watched, and fears. That's The Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com. Okay, when we come back, we're going to go north of the border, catch up with Rachel Doerrie, and see if all of Canada has turned all of their lonely eyes to Edmonton to try to break the jinx for Canada to win the Stanley Cup. That's all coming up next, and we know Carolina trying to stave off elimination tonight. We'll break that down when you come back with us right here on the Memorial Day edition of VSiN By The Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis here on this Monday morning, going north of the border as we like to do to catch up with Rachel Doerrie. Does a great job, CTO of Betalytics. Give her a follow at Rachel Doerrie on X. Joins us now in the Progressive Gas Line. And you're playing hurt, Rach. You're joining us today. Do you want to tell the people what you got going on here? Because, sometimes to do what we do, you got to go in when you're not 100%.
Yeah, you definitely do. I have a dislocated wrist. I mean, it's relocated now, which is great, but Yeah, not exactly how I wanted my weekend to go. But alas, I mean, hockey players, right? You just snap that thing back into place, tape it up, we're back on the ice, we're ready to go. I, however, will not be going on the golf course for the next little while.
Upper body injury, isn't that what they say, right? That's what it's going to be for you?
It's, in the upper area of the body. Day to day.
Yeah, Jensen, you know all about this, right? There's a difference between playing hurt and playing injured. She's injured right now.
Well, and listen, and in true hockey form, she rises above regardless of what that injury may be. Hey, listen, speaking of her, I don't know, and I told Dave this, bears repeating from what you talked about, that you felt Florida would be a juggernaut. You felt it could be Panthers and Stars in the Stanley Cup final. We're pretty sure we're on the precipice of the Panthers just embarrassing the Hurricanes yet again. Rachel, I don't know what to make of it. You've seen much more hockey than I have over the last couple of seasons, but this is one of the most embarrassing runs for a hockey team in a conference final that I can remember in history. How about you?
Yeah, it kind of feels like the conference final was Leafs Panthers. Like those were the two best teams in the conference. And we talked about it before this series started. Before the last series even ended, like whoever came out of that Florida-Toronto series was probably going to the Cup final. And do I think Toronto would have had as easy a time as Florida's having? No, absolutely not. But I think when you look at this with Florida, like there's not an area of the game they're not winning. They're winning the goaltending battle. They're winning the puck moving battle. They're winning the puck retrieval battle. They're winning the mind games. They're winning the injury battle. Like they're willing to do things that other teams aren't willing to do. And the best example of that is they got up 6-1, not down 6-1, up 6-1. And Matthew Tkachuk decided that was when he was going to start chasing guys around the ice to try and get retribution. Now, I'll point out that it's pretty interesting that Florida's the only team that never seems to get appropriate discipline from the National Hockey League. But this is kind of one of those cases where Florida, part of the reason they're having the success they are, and part of the reason Carolina is down 3-0, is because Florida's willing to do things that other teams aren't willing to do. And Carolina plays a specific style. They don't adjust it for the playoffs, and it gets them to the second round every year. It gets them to the conference finals some years, but it doesn't get the job done. It doesn't get them over the hump. And Florida is probably the best team in the league at employing the get over the hump tactics.
You know, Rachel, we mentioned this about 2.5 hours ago when we began the program. I said, boy, $1.70 felt light on the Panthers to close it out tonight against Carolina. And that number, it's not light anymore. It's up to $1.85. I'm seeing $1.90s now in the marketplace, something Jensen and I talked about, that I felt like there was value in that number at $1.70. Is there still value in it? And the puck line, by the way, is now $1.40. You get plus $1.42 on Florida, or maybe go to those layered, go to land the 2.5 goals if Carolina really waves the white flag. Like, I know they laid the egg, which forced the Game 7 back in Toronto when they could have closed out that series there. But I don't see any, like, I'm trying to find a pathway to back Carolina, and I just don't see one. Is there one tonight?
I think if you're going to bet this game, you can't take the money line anymore. You have to take either Carolina on the money line, or you have to take Florida minus 1.5. Now, both of them are playing plus money. And if Carolina wins by 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. You get the plus 165 payout. But if Carolina were to lose, I don't see it being in overtime. I see them having to pull the goaltender. I see Florida scoring an empty netter. So that's a great way to kind of play it. I would not play Florida on the money line. If you think Florida's going to win, take them at minus 1.5, because Rod is going to pull the goaltender early because he knows what's on the line here. It's not like there's, we got to get a single point to get to overtime or this, that. No, you go home if you lose. So there's not going to be any kind of fraidy cat sort of behavior, if that's kind of what you want to call it. I would play that way. I'd go either minus 1.5 Florida or Carolina plus 165. I mean, you could probably play both and still have a profit.
Yeah, Rachel, I was telling Dave, if you think this continues the way we've seen the last couple of days, Florida minus 2.5 at plus 230. And if you want to get really greedy, minus 3.5, plus 575 to win by 4 or more goals. We had that case with the Edmonton Oilers against the Stars yesterday, and this one about as convincing a performance as we've seen from Stuart Skinner pre-Game 4 of a series. I got bad news for the Dallas Stars. Next game, Game 4. So here we go. Is now Edmonton in a position where they're in command of the series, or do we find some resistance here from Jake Ottinger and the Stars to try and level this thing up?
I think you're going to see some resistance. A matter of how much is probably to be determined. I always say you're never in trouble till you lose at home. Dallas has lost at home. That's a problem. And Edmonton, they don't really lose at home in the playoffs. So the atmosphere that they create is going to be a problem for Dallas. I do think Dallas is still, on the whole, the better team. And if you're asking me, like, with a bullet, what goaltender I'm still taking Jake Ottinger, and I'm honestly not really thinking twice about it, because the problem with Stuart Skinner is he has like a save percentage up until last night. He has a save percentage in the playoffs in singular games of either perfect or less than 80%. Like, there's no in between, and that variable range of outcomes, I don't love that at all. And so I still do think Dallas has a chance. Edmonton can play defense. Like, they've proven that. Their captain's sick of being asked about it. But the reality is the reason they get asked about it so much is because they're so inconsistent with it. And so it's kind of one of those things where I do think Dallas is better than they showed. I think Peter DeBoer is kind of the coach that can maybe give them the kick in the butt that they need. And I still think this is going to be a pretty long series. It's probably still going to go 6 or 7 for sure. And at that point, Jake Ottinger's save percentage in games 6 and 7 is above 950. It's about 95.4% or something like that. And that's very difficult to deal with. And so I still think Dallas has a chance. I would not be wanting to go down 3-1 to Edmonton, though. They have to win tomorrow night.
Okay, if Dallas is still alive, they are plus 270 to win this series against Edmonton. They're plus 650 to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. Jake Ottinger is 28-1 to win the Conn Smythe. Out of those 3 options, if Dallas is live, would you go for the long shot that if they win the Cup, not just the series, it's got to be Jake? Or maybe they're not good enough in your eyes to beat Florida if they get there and come back and win this. Which of those 3 options would you take if you're on the Dallas side?
I'd probably take the series first. Then I would take Jake, because goaltenders are seemingly, outside of Connor McDavid, who is going to end up on the Mount Rushmore of hockey players, goaltenders are really the only players on the losing side of a Stanley Cup that can win the Conn Smythe. And I think Jake Ottinger getting them back against the Oilers and then probably having a pretty good series against Florida, he would probably have to be my Conn Smythe pick in a 28-1. That's significant value. So those are the 2 I would attack. I'm not entirely convinced that Dallas can win the Cup, especially with how Florida's playing. So I don't think that there's a ton of value there at plus 650, but plus 270 to win the series. It's only 2-1. Like, that's not really that big of a lead there. And then you've got the other side of it, which is if Jake Ottinger figures it out, and I'm thinking that he'll probably figure it out a little bit, those odds are going to drop significantly.
Last one for me, Rach. And by the way, if we do feel that Florida ends this series tonight and then Edmonton continues their home prowess, say moneyline parlay plus $1.43, not a bad way to look at it. Let's assume that Carolina gets swept tonight. This is a coaching change no matter what, tomorrow morning or at the end of the week. Like, where is the future for Carolina now with just a dismal run through these conference finals?
Rod Brind'Amour is not losing his job at all. Like, there would be, and I am not joking when I say this, very similar to John Cooper. If Tampa had fired John Cooper at the end of the first round, 31 other teams would have tried to hire him, including the Florida Panthers. John Cooper is the best coach in hockey, and it's not all that close. Rod Brind'Amour is probably, if he's not third behind Peter DeBoer, he's in the top 5 for sure. And like, I know Toronto was ready to back up the absolute Brinks truck for him last year. There are teams that would fire their current coach the way like the Blues did with Drew Bannister to get Jim Montgomery. So he's not going anywhere. The owner absolutely adores him. I do think there needs to be a serious conversation about how they attack the goaltending and how their style of play. The style of play with the volume shooting is not going to cut it in the playoffs. And so I think that's not a Rod thing specific to him. It is a system he employs, but it's also not just exclusive to him. And so I think there needs to be a different approach to the roster more than anything.
Avoid the roots when you're punching out of the rough, Rachel. All right? Just take care of that wrist.
I will.
There she is, everybody. Rachel Doerrie. We appreciate your time as always. When we come back, it's time for our best bets. That's next here at VSiN By The Books.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
You enjoyed the conversation with Rachel Doerrie, as we always do, talking puck. Will Hill, obviously, in this hour as well. So, Jensen here in this Memorial Day edition, we've got to give out our best bets. Of course, they're brought to us by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. But you earlier in the Daily Diamond gave out a really juicy Freedom Parlay, and I believe Bama Sluggers took us up on it, and Bama Sluggers is in on the Freedom Parlay, so we appreciate you, Bama Sluggers, listening and watching the program. So he said, let freedom ring. He's in. Can you tell the people what this is on this Memorial Day out there to get you a really nice price point?
Happy to do it. And by the way, he did get the FanDuel boost.
Oh, wow.
If you are in a jurisdiction where you have FanDuel operating, they are offering a boost on Major League parlays today, 3 or more legs of that. So if you build it right now, we went with the Army Rangers, minus $1.62. Jacob deGrom getting the start at home for Texas. The Navy Royals, short little home favorite, minus $1.22. The Space Force Guardians, tall task for them against Yoshi Yamamoto and the Dodgers going into Cleveland, but Gavin Williams hopefully up for the task, plus $1.54. The Coast Guard Rays, short home favorites, minus $1.25. The Air Force Angels, we're getting a little air attack against the New York Yankees. Angels home, a plus $1.40 home dog. And then, I mean, we gotta get the Marine Corps.
Come
Mets
on,
for
hoorah.
Dave here. Almost a $3 favorite, at least earlier in the show. So if you got the FanDuel boost with that, that's upwards of 57-1 if the Freedom Parlay comes home tonight.
I think it's almost un-American if I don't back this play
it
as
is
well.
un-American
It
if you
does
don't play
feel
it
like it. So, land of the free, home of the brave. Great stuff as always. We appreciate Bama Sluggers hopping on that. Have a little pizza money bet on that for some fun today here on this Memorial Day. But you do have some other plays in pocket. And again, everybody that is a VSiN Pro Access, as a subscriber, you're going to have access to Jensen's plays. And as the shows go on here on this Memorial Day, one of those is maybe runs could be at a premium here in Milwaukee for the Red Sox on the road.
Yeah, we might try and thread the needle here. So 2 in-pocket plays from me in this Red Sox and Brewers game. I do think the under is the play here. You've got Garrett Crochet for the Red Sox, Chad Patrick, who has actually thrown the ball quite well, even there in Milwaukee. So under 7.5. Got that, and I believe $1.12 or $1.15. It's now juiced to $1.18. The under is now at 7 at Circa, so already down a half run. Even money on the under there right now. I also went another way here. I do think that Crochet could limit the Milwaukee offense, but Dave, I do think we could get like one of those 3-1, maybe 4-2 games here. So I played the run line for the Red Sox, plus $1.14 on DraftKings. So I do like the double dip opportunity in this one.
You know, very quickly, big picture in the Red Sox, and we mentioned this with Cody Decker in hour number 1. That Bregman injury that Alex has now, it is a significant, it's all we know right now. We don't have a time frame yet on how long he's going to be out, but a significant quad injury. And Alex Cora, of course, the manager, did say he's going to be out, quote, quite some time. Like, you look at the price point for a team that's under 500, and the Yankees, you got to lay over $3 right now to win this division. Is this a stay away now spot? Plus 650 for the Red Sox to win this division. Remember, most of the leading up to the beginning of the year, they're about 4-1, 350 in that marketplace. But at plus 650, with this significant injury to Breggs, Is this now a team that we just can't back in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's so tough knowing the dynamic there, and it's allowed, when Briggs was healthy and in there, it allowed Rafi Devers to be as prolific as he. I mean, Rafi Devers right now, according to Fangraphs, 5th best position player overall in Big League Baseball this year. So if I'm an opposing manager and opposing pitching staff, you're now looking at the likes of maybe Wilyer Abreu hitting behind Devers. I don't know if you put Christian Campbell, the rookie, in the 3 spot. I mean, Alex Cora is going to have some lineup construction issues to have to deal with. I would assume that you would run, and we don't see this a lot now. You have 3 lefties with Jarren Duran, Rafi Devers, Wilyer Abreu. I mean, there's going to have to be some questions answered about what you want to do. And even if Tristan Casas was healthy, and still a left-handed bat there. So, yeah, you're right. It's a stay-away spot now for me, and it's unfortunate because I did play the Red Sox to win that division. You're 6.5 games out entering play today, and the upcoming schedule: Milwaukee on the road, then they're going to have to go to Atlanta and likely going to have to face the Spencer boys in Schwellenbach and Strider to finish that series. Then they come home against an Angel team who we highlighted earlier has actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
Next 3 series, tough row to hoe here for the Boston Red Sox without Alex Bregman.
Earlier we had a conversation with Will Hill as well. We were kind of looking at that Rookie of the Year market. They did bring up Marcelo Mayer, their top prospect in the organization. You mentioned Campbell, so they're going with the youth movement here. This one out of necessity. He is Mayer's 25-1 to win the Rookie of the Year here. Nobody's going to be Alex Bregman, of course not. But what do you make of going with that youth? Is it going to serve them well long term? And is Mayer a playable number for you at 25-1?
He's worth it because he's going to get the volume. Like he's going to get the shots to have the everyday at bats, Dave. So just on principle, you'll have the opportunities at least initially. What does that look like?
Yeah,
I mean, for Christian Campbell to drift already to 20-1, he's actually had a decent campaign. I think tread lightly there, just because if the Red Sox are not in contention for the division title, then it's hard to look at unless he comes out and he hits 350 and he hits a bunch of bombs and captures kind of that spotlight. I think your money's best suited for other options available in the American League market.
We talked about teams kind of nipping at the Phillies' heel for best record in May. One of those teams is St. Louis. Fetty's going to be on the bump here against Charlie Morton. Is this a spot where you can back the Redbirds on the road in Charm City?
I think so. The Orioles have just been an embarrassment. It has been so hard to really try and jump behind them at any point. Now, they play the Red Sox a little bit better this past weekend, but yeah, I think the Cardinals, the way they are playing right now, and I'll tell you what, for people that pay attention to it, Cardinals sweeping the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Hey, let's start to put some respect on St. Louis. I'll fully admit I did not believe in this rotation whatsoever. Eric Fetty is going to get the ball, as you mentioned today, has actually been really good. I jumped in on the Cardinals on the run line, plus $1.30. It's up to plus $1.36 here on DraftKings. I believe plus $1.37 at Circa. But yeah, I do think that the Cardinal offense gets to overwhelm Charlie Morton a little bit, and especially that Oriole bullpen as well.
There's 7 games over 500. Like, when that happened? St. Louis,
that's
just
crazy, man.
Insane to think how things have turned around right now. Second betting choice there behind Chicago right now in the NL Central. You've got a lean in the WNBA, not in pocket yet, but you're leaning in that direction. What are you looking at?
There's a couple of ways, and again, no games on the slate today for the WNBA. 5 on the docket tomorrow. I looked at the Dream. Minus $1.18. That's still there. Again, they're on the West Coast. They're going to play the LA Sparks. Don't want anything to do. I mean, it's -1 on the spread, but would rather just look at that. No play in pocket yet, but did lean them. I'm also going to have. I think I'm going to check it tomorrow morning just to see what the overnight does here as far as the splits go. But we'll probably have some WNBA plays tomorrow, knowing that's a pretty significant docket.
And again, tonight in the association, I feel like the world's going to be on OKC laying the 3, and sometimes the world is not wrong. What do you make of that? Do you think Minnesota can – I'm with you. I think regression's probably coming. You can't shoot the way they scored it with that 143 points in the game 3. Is OKC the right side tonight, laying the 3 in the road?
It'd probably be under or pass for me, Dave. I think, again, if you want anything to do with Oklahoma City tonight, it's the money line. It is $1.48 right now for OKC, so don't think that's exorbitant to want to do that. And to me, the way that these comebacks have been for some of the teams, I would want nothing to do with that spread and just kind of get clipped there at the end. So under or pass for me, but hopefully Oklahoma City comes to play tonight.
And something you and I talked about right off the top of the show, we noticed that $1.70 for Florida tonight to close out Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals in the Stanley Cup. Felt light. We're like, man, that feels very light. It's not light anymore because it's getting close to $2 here. So they were listening to us at the beginning of the show. Hopefully you got the better of the number before that thing moved on. By the way, we're introducing the $500 trifecta. It's from GBank First Bet and, of course, here at VSiN. All you have to do is open up a GBank Visa Signature credit card. When you do, in the first 90 days, deposit, play through $1,000 of First Bet to trigger the $500 trifecta. Then you're going to receive a $200 in cashback rewards on your GBank Visa Signature credit card. First Bet is going to give you a $100 deposit match. Then VSiN's going to contribute and complete that trifecta with a free VSiN Pro subscription through August 31st. That's a $200 value right there. So that's a $500 trifecta from GBank First Bet and VSiN. Head over to VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. This is a one-time promotion limited to customers opening up a new account in response to this offer. It will not apply to requests to convert existing accounts. Apply today. Terms and conditions do apply. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, my friend. Fire up that grill. I know you will. We've got Gil Alexander and Kelly Bidwin coming up next.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.